So, I'm a little late because there's a lot of real life stuff going on. If the live just turns off, it's just because there's like stuff going on. There's nothing else I can say. There's a few things I would like to discuss today. Let's see. Since I've had y'all waiting, I'm just gonna go and literally I'm just gonna go. There's like really nothing else we're gonna do. Without further ado, we're gonna go. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna talk about Resident Evil 5 racism discourse because I saw Jack Spadicy had something to say. I'm so sick of these old heads from a long time ago here trying to act like they got something to say. If you have not made it to the YouTube is the starting point. And I'm not here to say that YouTube is not an art form or not a place that is valued at all. That's not what I'm saying. I think it's the starting point. I think your goal shouldn't be to stay here, I think. In my opinion, that's what I think. But I just had some French toast. I made some homemade French toast with strawberry bread, and I made bacon. So, yeah. Um we got to talk about Resident Evil 5 because for someone another reason why I was late was because I was looking to see if I could see like how many hours I played each Resident Evil game so that I could have the facts, but I just don't have those numbers. I couldn't find them. I can't remember how to get there and I couldn't do it in time. So maybe in post, I'll talk about it if I separate this video. Sometimes I cut the video up and I post it like the Willy Wonka video I did and a few other videos. I'm about to do Delicious in Dungeon. I'm going to cut that up and post it as a video. Let me know what you want from this channel because I like the analytics, they're not telling me nothing. And maybe I do Resident Evil stuff all the time, so I don't know. I don't know. I stopped doing it I stopped playing the game. Resident Evil, the one that won the vote for me to play was Zero because I started Zero probably. And it's just not something that I can do all the time. Like I needed help playing the hardest game, Code Veronica. And the second hardest game is Zero. Second hardest game is Zero because you got to remember to bring stuff. Like y'all were complaining about having to bring the thing and having, oh, all my stuff's on Claire, but I'm playing Chris now. What's that? And that would be great to figure that out in a remake. How come we don't have no remake? Y'all are talking about Resident Evil 5 remake. We don't need no Resident Evil 5 remake. We didn't need no Resident Evil 4 remake. It still holds up. It still looks good. Y'all are acting like it looks like Stick People. It simply does not. Look at Resident Evil 1, Resident Evil 2, and Resident Evil 3, and then look at Code Veronica. Look at that Code Veronica. Go back. Look at Resident Evil 1 through 3 again. Again. So you've done it twice now. And then go your happy self and look at Resident Evil 4. It clearly looks better. It clearly looks better. It did not need no remake. I like the remake better than the old stuff. And the craziest thing is all the old heads who like Resident Evil 4 original, you are so butthurt right now. You are so butthurt because 4 did not live up to your expectations. You didn't see not Chris. You didn't see y'all hate Chris. Y'all hate Chris. It's crazy how much y'all hate Chris. Leon deserves the hate that y'all give Chris. Chris ain't do nothing but be cool. He is a jerk sometimes, but we can literally ascend. Let's ascend to the topic that I'm going to start with. I didn't get through all the topics that I wanted to start with, like the Fate of Tango Games or whatever, or Gameworks. Like, I didn't know anything about that until it literally happened, and people are talking about how the Evil Within 3 is not happening. Good. Good. I love Resident Evil. I love the Evil Within singular. I love Resident Evil Within the first one. I love Resident Evil Within. Resident Evil Within. I love the Evil Within The first one. The second one was garbage, trash, sin dipped in misery, garbage, sin dipped in death. It was terrible. It had too many things going on. And yes, the first one had stuff going on, but guess what? It was the same it was the same thing. Like we saw the same dude. It was the same situation. It was very linear. It was a very linear, understandable story. Even though there were some loose ends that did not get tied. And how you gonna go on to a second one and be like, you remember the first one? Forget all that. Forget all that. Then call it a different goddamn game. We can't talk about that. We can't talk about that. And then at the end, I'm gonna talk about my favorite TV shows. I don't know where that is. I literally wrote them all down, but um I don't know. Hold on a second. I'm gonna see if I can find it real quick. Found it. Yeah. There we go. I found it. So we can get started. We can get started right here, right now, talking about Resident Evil 5. I feel like I can put my hand in the ring because I am, if y'all didn't know, I'm black. So I feel like, yeah, I can add something to this situation. I'm first going to talk about what Resident Evil 5 is. And then I'm going to basically, long story short, in all reality, I'm not from Africa. So I'm not going to be the one that's the arbiter of if this is okay, if this is not okay. So if that's why you're here, that's not what's going to happen. I'm just going to explain my perspective and I'm not going to devalue anybody else's opinion about this, specifically people from wherever they're trying to say this is located. And I think if I'm not mistaken, it's East Africa. I don't know. I'm not sure. I have no idea. Like I said, I played Resident Evil 5 more than I think any Resident Evil. When I first played Resident Evil 4, I played on PC. I played the PC version of Resident Evil 4. When I first played Resident Evil 1, it was the remaster. I did not play the original. I didn't play the original 2 either. I played the remake of 2, but I respect the old one better because Resident Evil 2 had side A and side B. Claire is clearly side A. Leon is clearly side B. He is clearly the second-hand character. Claire is connected to Chris Redfield. What is wrong with y'all? Y'all really think that his sister is going to be less valued than some bum gumshoe that his first day on the job, he can't even be on time to his work? Is that what you're telling me? What? Literally, if the rules were reversed, like y'all love to talk about, if the rules were reversed, y'all would be talking about get this fool out of here. Get this fool out of here because they are connected. What that mean? Claire is clearly connected to Chris Redfield, who is from the first one. No one cares. No, Jill doesn't say, "Oh yeah, I know who Leon is." No one cares about Leon. No one knew who Leon was. The only reason why Leon knows anybody is because he knows Claire. Claire knew everybody else. Claire actually knew Moira's father. They were friends. So I don't really understand why y'all are acting like Leon needs to be the figurehead for the entire series. If anyone should be the figurehead, if you want to play games, it should be Jill Valentine in all reality. But since we live in a patriarchy and that's never going to happen, it's got to be Chris. But it's definitely not Leon. So I don't know why that happens. But it's crazy because like I said, so four we should have already got Code Veronica. That's why I don't think Code Veronica is happening or it's gonna be a DLC freaking half dropped, half A, half crap, booty cheek crust game. It's not gonna be anything good. So I don't even expect it anymore. I'd much prefer Code Veronica be released as a TV series on something. Netflix has disappointed me far too much. I can't wait to talk about my favorite TV shows because I've seen a lot of people ask, like, I saw like this is the ninth time I've seen someone say, "What's your favorite TV show?" Because nobody knows what to watch anymore. Everything's trash. Everything's $30,000. Everything's 10 billion, trillion, gazillion dollars to watch. And we got all these channels, nothing to watch. We've got all these streaming services and nothing to watch. Everything is seasonal. If you really want to watch something good, you got to wait till the fall or something in order to watch something because everything is seasonal. Like, I'm so done watching Survivor right now because as of right now, I don't know what season it's on. I really could care less because, I've already. If you want to know my opinion about Survivor, literally go to my Twitter and just type in Survivor #Survivor, and you'll see everything I have to say. Because I'm not making a video about that because I'm not dealing with them. People from Survivor, they are they're a little like, yeah, they will clap back, and a lot of people on these reality TV shows will clap back. I've been clapped back at from 60 Days in person. They saw me and they were like, oh yeah, I got something to say to you, and I'm like, fine, that's fine. That's fine. Talk to me. That's fine. I didn't block them. I let them say what they had to say because that's fine. If you want to do that, that's fine. Like I I could have been in the wrong in that situation, but there's a lot of times where I'm not in the wrong. And I felt I felt nothing to watch. I started reading. Yeah, because we run out of shows. And at the end of this live stream, I will be talking about my favorite TV shows so that you have some good recommendations. Because people be out here saying, like, oh, watch this crap and it's garbage. Like, I will show you something nice and cool. And even there's some shut your brain off stuff to where you can't be like adding any logic. Like, but back to Resident Evil. So we should have already gotten Code Veronica remake since we did not, because like I've continuously said, literally once again, go on to my Twitter and you will see the first page. I have a pinned tweet, and the pinned tweet says Resident Evil Code Veronica deserves a remake first, and here's why compared to Resident Evil 4. And my explanation is Claire's story in Resident Evil 2 is canonically side A, like I just said. It changes this, however, in the remake. And that game is, oh my goodness, yeah, like 6 years after. Resident Evil 4 is 6 years, 6+ years after Resident Evil 4 when we just saw Leon, when we just heard of this Leon loser. Literally, like essentially, he's just a Leon loser right now. He is name dropped like some bum. Like he's literally name dropped in Code Veronica, but we see Claire, we see Chris, and you can be like, "Oh, Jill, maybe there's like I don't recall Jill ever being name dropped. Please let me know if she was name dropped, but she don't got to be name dropped. She was already established as a character. Oopsie boopsie, oopsie boopsie whoopsie. Even like literally, there's so many people like Rebecca Chambers. Like she's more of a character than Leon S. Kennedy, and she weak is all get out. Like it's crazy. But literally, like I said, and Code Veronica looks and plays older. There is okay, when people talk about tank controls are basically, you know what a tank looks like a military tank or even like one of those toy tanks. Like they can only go a certain way. You can only move a certain way. That's why they call it tank controls. Unless there's something else. For all I know, I don't know. But that's what I know about tank controls. And that's how the Resident Evil formula was. It was to create ambiance. It was so that you could be looking in a corner and you not see, so you can hear something, but you can't see it because the tank controls have you looking a certain way and the fixed camera angles. It's those two things together that made Resident Evil initially, which is why there were a lot of people who were like, why are we in first person now? And yes, you can say it evolved with the history and the evolution of gaming, but I feel like we can still do something cool with this particular game. Like you do not have to be Call of Duty. Not everything has to be Call of Duty. Not everything has to be first person. Maybe there can be a first person mode. That would be best of both worlds. But unfortunately, it's either all or nothing with these people in these suits making these decisions. So it's like, long story short, Code Veronica has tank controls, fixed camera angles, just like the original. It's more of an original game than Resident Evil 4. And y'all are like, oh, Resident Evil 4 saved gaming mankind as we know it. I would have sooner had just Resident Evil be just obscure, like Silent Hill because they actually did try to evolve while maintaining the same situation, and it didn't really work out. And I think that's another reason why people are more comfortable with the first person and all that, because while Resident Evil did that and succeeded because they went all in with it, Silent Hill kind of slid things in. They're like, okay, let's keep this, but let's kind of add this, maybe this and that. And it just lost the plot. It eventually just lost the plot, and people just were not interested in it anymore because it was not Silent Hill anymore. But I don't know. Silent Hill and Resident Evil fans, they're both that same way when it comes to territorial, because I'm telling you right now, you say one thing about Silent Hill that's just mildly something that is debatable, they will come out crazy. But the thing about Silent Hill is I know a lot less about Silent Hill personally. I can watch lore videos day and night, but I didn't play any of the games. No, that's not true. I did play Downpour. I played Downpour, and I played 2 for a little bit, but I didn't like play the whole thing and complete it like I played every single Resident Evil situationally. Like, as I didn't play the original, I played the remakes, or I played the remasters, or I played console versions, different console versions. But I did play the original. Well, not I didn't play the original Code Veronica that was on the whatever Dreamcast. I played Code Veronica on the PlayStation originally, and now the one that, if you want to see my playthrough, it's a complete playthrough of Resident Evil Code Veronica X. It is on my playlist, my Resident Evil Code Veronica X playlist. It's really awesome. It's the best Resident Evil in my opinion. Best Silent Hill is 4, but we're getting off topic. We're trying to talk about Resident Evil 5 and if it's racist or not. And that's just not something that I feel like all these beard mouths and all these doom chickens and all these quarter of a men and all of these yellow turds, like, I just don't feel like y'all should be in this conversation. There's just certain conversations that are not for everybody. Like, I don't know. I can't even think of something that is comparable, because it's just like, why do we have to have comparisons? Why can't you just have understanding that that's not something like, what I will say as a Resident Evil fan and a person who's played Resident Evil 4 and Resident Evil 5. 4, we are in, supposedly, we're in Europe, we're in Spain. There are some ethnically different people there, and they are clearly under the influence of a cult. And it's unclear whether or not the cult would have made them be that way anyway, but it's more like they are under a spell that is um that is like, the power actually comes from them being infected with Las Plagas, which is a parasite. And Lord Sadler had the little stick that he was controlling them with. Originally, they were in a cult. They accepted this stuff. They accepted it as gospel. And then eventually they were just a hive mind. Because when he dies, and when that thing is exploded or whatever, when everything's all said and done, they're on the floor and they're no longer attacking anyone. They're freaking out. They don't know what to do anymore. They don't have an objective. So it's not like these people could have gone back to reality. Oh, there goes gravity. Oh, there goes gravity. Choking most riding the wounds alone. Like, you know what I mean? Like, they couldn't have done that. They couldn't have gone back to their homes after all this is said and done. Their brain's gone. The parasite ate their brains. The parasite is what's left in their shell. So going into Resident Evil 5, and then having, instead of going into some European place, going into Africa, the difference of the objective actually matters as to why and what is happening. So when Leon S. Kennedy originally went to Spain, he didn't know the language at all. Some scoop-diddy boop, literally Mary Sue, who gets to Mary Sue around and be as strong as possible, is going to sit there and not know the language of the place that he's supposed to be finding the president's daughter at. That's why it's crazy how y'all who are the original, all these plot holes that were created in the original, it's crazy how y'all don't accept that. Oh, that's great that they changed that. It's great that Ada's not just eye candy and she actually has an objective. What I don't like is the fact that Leon's so mean to her. Like, bro, what you mean? You doing a job? I'm doing a job. Mind your business. Mind your business. That's the problem I have. He's too broody. He's too broody. He's like a brat broody. Like, it's super annoying in the remake. But I never liked Leon to begin with. That's fine. He's just a different jerk. He's just a different jerk. But at least Ada Wong gets to have agency. At least she gets to have agency. And then that Albert Wesker voice actor, I had tried my best to like him. I really did. I tried my ever loving best to like him. He is pathetic. That is such a sad excuse. Like they like the dude that they switched out with, the way he said he became Wesker, the way he said he became Wesker was he looked at his predecessors. He looked at his predecessors. He actually did homework. And whatever is going on with him, whether he gave out information he wasn't supposed to, broke NDAs, whether he's a sex pest, whether whatever's going on with him, not going to say his name. I rep for him because I'm like, oh, that's a cool dude. But it's always the charismatic people you got to watch after. Like, honestly, I'm not going to say here nor hither. I'm not going to say here nor hither whether what's going on. I'm just saying do the research on what that stuff's going on, what is associated with him, and then you come back to me with whatever you want of how you want to react about him. All I'm saying is when he had the job, he did his research, and that's how he became one of the most iconic voices for Albert Wesker. Now, forget, like, whatever, I don't care. We can lose him. There are 10 billion other people in this universe that could have sounded like him, just like him, actually. And then you decide to get the dude who went to go get your coffee yesterday and employ him into this role for, like, literally zero reason, zero logic at all, and only for him to be so bad. No one talks about how bad his voice actor was, but they're gonna say, "Oh my goodness, the first Asian woman to ever play Ada's voice in the video game," because don't be talking about Alice, because you love to negate Alice in Wonderland, Resident Evil. You love to negate that. You love to talk about how it don't exist. There is no Resident Evil Alice in Wonderland in Ba Sing Se until I start talking about how every other person who played Ada Wong, voice actress in the game, was Anglo-Saxon. And then you talking about, oh, wait a minute, what about that Asian girl that had her voice dubbed over with the girl from the white girl? Like, all I know is I think it's cool that Ada Wong is at last being voiced by an Asian woman. And the voices were a little strange. And it's not her fault. It's not her fault. It simply isn't. Y'all didn't say nothing about Sadler and how he sounded ridiculous. Y'all didn't say nothing about the merchant who pretended to try. He pretended to attempt to try. He tried to attempt to try, but he did not succeed. And y'all were not dragging him. Y'all were not sending death threats to him. But you were talking about, it's crazy because the dude that played Carlos in Resident Evil 3 Remake, I will never stop saying this. He sounds the same as Javier from the Walking Dead video game, The Last Frontier, or whatever it's called. He played the same voice. It's like the thing that they say about Bob's Burger, Bob Belcher, whatever, that dude that plays Bob from Bob's Burgers. Y'all love to talk about how he does the same voice for everything, but you don't say nothing about the people who do that on a continuous basis and keep getting paid for the same thing. It's one thing for Bob Belcher and Bob Burger to be voiced by Bob and it's just his voice or whatever. When I can clearly tell when I hear a line, I don't think that Archer said that line. I simply don't. Because they're two different people. He acts a different way. When you hear a line from the Walking Dead video game with that voice, you think it's Carlos. You can't tell the difference because he didn't do anything different. And y'all are sitting here like, oh my goodness, it's Carlos. Oh wait, it's Chris. Because now it's one thing to be in one place and in another place that's not in the same universe. It's a completely different other thing. And it's funny that they're both zombie things, but it's a completely other different thing for the simple fact that he is not only playing Carlos in the same universe, that he is playing Chris Redfield in. That was terrible. I don't know why they didn't get Roger Craig Smith. I don't know why. I have actually been questioning what's going on with him socially. I don't know anything about his social things. I just know that I don't really see him putting himself out there for nothing, for not standing for. I see him posting birds. I don't see him like talking about like anything spectacular for me to even think for a second that he even cares about anything else. I just know that he is a very good voice actor, and another person that may sound a little similar when he does other things and may very well be a little difficult to know what character he's playing based on the voice he sounds like. But Chris is a completely different beast. He was really good as Chris Redfield. He did a really good job. He really portrayed Chris as, and I feel like it's because people were upset that Resident Evil 5 was so convoluted, when I feel like it's crazy to say that when every single Resident Evil is sort of convoluted. At the end of every one, why are we blowing stuff up? Why do we have a rocket launcher on our shoulder? I guess people being in a volcano, it was just too much. But frogs being turned into hunters or something like that was okay. Dogs becoming super creatures and being alive after the fact they died is okay, right? That wasn't bad. That's why it's like y'all pick and choose what you think is okay and what's not okay. Like, it's really ridiculous. It's like, and another thing is these people who are talking about, oh, it's not racist to do this and that and the other, and it's this and that and the other. There's nothing specific that they're talking about, and I'm here to break it down because I have, like I said, I played Resident Evil 5 a lot, and I also didn't have a problem with the AI neither, because I actually had friends to play with, whether it was people who were just like, you literally can go in the freaking goddamn queue and wait until somebody picks the character, and you can either play Sheva, and that's Sheba, not Sheba, not Sheba Duba. Like, I don't understand. And it's crazy. These people who are talking about, oh, I understand this, and I'll just say it, and they're talking about their opinion. You don't even know her name. You don't even know the character's name in the thing. You don't even know. So how are you gonna break down the anything and you don't know her name and you're not even gonna even try to say it correctly? And then no, it's not because of no accent. Because you be talking like normal, you be talking normal, and then you said Sheba. Her name is Sheba Alomar. And it's crazy because she was such a good character and we never see her again. We never see her again. Not even in no Revelations game. Not even like in nothing. We don't ever see her again. And the reason why Sheva got so much flack is because she took time from Jill Valentine's part in Resident Evil 5. They cut a lot of things out from Resident Evil 5. One thing that included Jill's time in the the game. And I feel like Lost in Nightmare, that DLC, should have been the prologue of the game. Them talking about like him doing that and it's secret. It's like, oh, now Oswald E. Spencer, da da da. Like that should have been the prologue. We should have started, and that would have given us more Jill. That would have given us more Jill. And it also wouldn't have taken away from Sheva. It wouldn't have. But we're starting and we don't know this girl. We're supposed to think of her as a partner and we don't know her. And yeah, you could be like, oh, well, that's just starting the little knots and starting of a story. Yes. But it also is strange that we are all of a sudden in this new place and da 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 da. Like it's really strange. And like I said, the different objectives. Let me talk about the objectives. So, like I said, Leon S. Kennedy was going to Europe, in Spain or whatever, to go find the president's daughter, Ashley Graham, who it would have been really cool to have been actually Sherry, and she was in the witness protection program, and then the president got her and wanted the virus from her, so he was like extracting stuff from her, and then that's when the people from Europe grabbed her, and it was like they were trying to save her, and that would have been really cool because it would conflict, because now they're making it seem like, oh, Leon's not no gumshoe, not no bootleg. He started out as a cop. Don't get me started. It takes a lot. Like he didn't start cop school at the beginning of Resident Evil 3 or Resident Evil 2. He was a cop. He started his first day as a cop. So he has completed the stuff. Like, and we're not even talking about Welcome to Raccoon City. That don't even exist. Like that's crazy. That don't exist. I've already talked about it. I've already made a video about it, and I've already talked about it. Like, my voice is gone for that. But he went to go find the president's daughter. Oh, yeah, sounds cool, right? And then he gets caught up in between everything else that's going on there. He's like, okay, he can't just take her and leave because now she's got something in her, and now he's got something in her, and now they got to figure out how to get it out of them. And then now they got to kill this dude because he's about to do something in the world. And the OG, if I'm not mistaken, um, Salazar or whatever his name is, was trying to sell the stuff. He was trying to sell it and make money. Other the new OG, I don't the new remake, I'm not sure if he like says that he wants to do that, but he literally was like trying to sell stuff. It was literally money, like money hungry, like, and that's the whole thing about Resident Evil. It's anti corporation. It's supposed to be anti corporation. It basically is showing how a corporation can cause a virus. It's literally like I'm not even going to get into it. But let's talk about Resident Evil 5's objective. So the whole thing is Chris goes to Africa and is with Sheva, and they're like trying to get this thing, and they're like, "Oh, there's something going on here." And they don't know it's Wesker yet. They don't know it's Wesker. So it's basically just the objective for the BSAA. It's objective for the BSAA. It's not has nothing to do with the president. It's something that they probably were gonna like. It's literally a lot of people die for this. While Leon was going by himself, these people went gum ho into Africa with a bunch of people. With a bunch of people, and it's another thing. There's a lot of things that go on, and I don't speak the language that they're speaking. I don't know what group of people that they're supposed to be portraying as well. That's another thing that goes into it. We don't really, it's kind of up in the air as to who these people are specifically based on their real life counterparts, or if it's even a real tribe. It's unclear because they don't say necessarily. And it's just like, I don't know. It's just like it just sounds to me, it's really different to have one man go in by himself. And yeah, he had that dude in the helicopter and remake and stuff, but they had one man go by himself looking for her versus bringing Chris, having the people that work there, because Sheva is someone who is stationed there as a part of the PSAA, and all the other people who they had with them. They had a bunch of people who passed on. They were killed. They were destroyed. And it's like literally bringing an entire army in up into Africa. You can't say that that's the same. You simply can't. You simply cannot say that Resident Evil 4 and Resident Evil 5 situation is the exact same. There are differences that make a different deal in a different context. And then you say that, and then people are like, "Oh, so you think it's okay to do that in Spain, but you don't think it's okay to do that in Africa?" And mind you, nobody even knows if these people are a real tribe that exists or not. We don't know where they got their inspiration from. There's a lot of Aztec Mayan things that look like it in later parts of Resident Evil 5. And it's like, I never looked at it as distasteful, but like I said, I'm not a part of that demographic. I'm black, but I'm not from Africa. So I'm not sure how they feel about it. So it's not even my place to even say yay or nay on the situation. And therefore, I don't think Jack Spadici can even be like, because he's like, oh, it can't be made, it can't be remade now because the PC and I don't even know where he's coming from, whether it's a genuine thing where it's like, yeah, I refuse to even buy it even if it is made, because he has a stance against it because he thinks it's racist, or if he's just like, yeah, I can't believe all these babies nowadays can't do nothing, can't say nothing, can't be racist on YouTube no more. Like literally, I really don't, which is completely not true, because all these people who were racist on YouTube 20 years ago, 10 years ago, still making YouTube videos to this day, or living off of it, having kids and having their kids be raised on the money that they made off of being racist online. That's literally happening. But I personally feel like when I played Resident Evil 5, it didn't seem distasteful to me, but like I'm literally always going to say it's not my burden to bear. It's not my thing to say whether or not it's a good thing or a bad thing, but I definitely don't think that stops it from being remade. What are you talking about? What are you legitimately talking about? And if you want to talk about the racism, let's talk about Albert Wesker, because y'all are like getting on my nerves with this. I have always said that Albert Wesker was a eugenist, but not in the way that we have eugenics in real life, because he's talking about if Ixella, he was like, "Oh, you don't like," he wasn't even really interested in her sexually at all. She was like falling all over him, and he did not care about her. Like, it was crazy. And if they wanted to insinuate that they had a relationship, I feel like they would have had him reciprocate something, but he simply did not. He simply believed if there was a girl who had like she was just a blob on the floor, but she became like a big old huge creature, he was in awe of um Alexia Ashford, but it didn't matter that she was um Nazi coded. It didn't matter. It didn't matter because when she blew up, when all the her skin fell off, she was no longer white. She was green. So it's crazy. I don't know if there's any or enough evidence to say that Albert Wesker is racist, because the reason why he went to Africa wasn't to specifically be like, you know what, let me get all these people together and inject them with all this stuff specifically. He also was looking for the thing that his father, Oswald E. Spencer, was looking for, which was like the staircase to heaven or something. It was a flower that was in Africa for like the fountain of youth, basically. And they did find it. And another thing that I hate about Resident Evil 5 that would be great in a remake to actually establish a little more or go a little further with is the fact that this entire time they were looking for this flower. It even comes back in Resident Evil 8. They even talk about the flower. It's even discussed because Oswald E. Spencer knew that girl, which is like, that's crazy to go around in a circle like that. That's crazy. But they knew about that flower. That flower was important to everyone. It was important to Oswald E. Spencer. It was important to Albert Wesker. And then, like, there's one scene where we see them and then it's over. Like, that's it. Like, that's it. Like, literally. We see it and we see it. It's like, oh, and then that's done. And then they never go back to it. They never say, well, we found the fountain of youth. We did this and that and the other. They didn't grab that flower. They didn't explain nothing about the flower. It was kind of like built up for nothing. And I feel like whether or not having the knowledge we do of colonization, to have it set in Africa specifically, I personally don't think that a remake is impossible. A remake is very possible. And I think if the right people do it, it can be just as good, if not better, than Resident Evil 4 remake, which I thought was pretty good. And I hate Leon S. Kennedy and I hate Resident Evil 4, the original. I really do. I'm so serious. I've beat it 3 times and I'm just not here for it. It's kind of boring to me, even though it goes from place to place. And that's another thing. Um Resident each Resident Evil, like, it's like a place to place thing. Like Code Veronica, once you're in the Antarctica and then you're in here. Like, it's really crazy how many times you go from here to there in each place. It's literally funny. That just lets me know, like, y'all do not have a standard, because you were fine with Claire being in Antarctica and not having no sweater, when that can clearly be changed in a remake. What if we even have a thing where um you have to wear an outfit that is appropriate for the weather or else you die, like your health goes down because you're too cold? That would work. A weather system in Code Veronica remake would be amazing, because it would be a slap in the face. Be like, now what, son? We here, no rear, get used to it type tease. Honestly, that would be so cool if they did that for the remake, but they're never going to make no remake. They're never going to make no remake, and whatever we do get is going to be tragic and trash and garbage and sin. So that's that on that. But like I said, you accept Nemesis freaking running into Jill and being like, "All right, I'm cool, guys. Don't worry about it." You're fine with Jill not aging for some reason. For some reason, women can't age unless, like, literally, it's like men can age and they can be strong and powerful and do One Punch Man and whatnot. And then women, the moment they have a baby, they're useless, like Mia. Or once they get older, they're useless and they can't do nothing. So now Jill has to be the exact same, have to look the exact same from the remake of Resident Evil 3 for some reason. Her hair can't grow. Her hair don't grow, mind you. Her hair don't grow. Her hair do not grow. Her hair the same. And then they're gonna swear up and down it's not laziness. It is what it is, but I just feel like we're blowing this a little out of proportion. We can literally acknowledge that there are some decisions that were not taken into consideration when they made Resident Evil 5 the original, and acknowledge that we can do better. And that means a remake is possible. So I really don't know what Jack Spadice is talking about. I never trusted him, nor Loser Trash, Loser Pie. I didn't trust him. I still don't 100% trust the Mark dude. And y'all can be mad at that too, because y'all love to say that this person is innocent and they're so cool and they're this and that. But what happened to Weepy? I don't say people's real names sometimes. I'll say it just so y'all know, but y'all know Loser Pie's best friend, who he literally disassociated with, like when a literal, you know what he is, scoots away from you, you know you got to be gosh darn terrible. Gosh darn terrible. I thought he was going to go down with the ship. He was not. He's like, I need money, Weepy. You can weep yourself with the toaster person. Like, he literally disassociated. But he doesn't need to be racist anymore. He doesn't need to make video games anymore. He doesn't need to scream in the mic no more. He's got enough money to feed his YouTube wife and his YouTube baby. Like, honestly. But whatever. All I know is I don't recall ever seeing Jack Spadice ever play this game or even understand the lore to even know why they were in Africa in the first place. And I feel like if it was in China, if it was in another place, I feel like the same situation would have happened. That's just me. That's just me, okay? But what I don't like people are I can just tell you what I've heard people say, because this isn't what I'm coming from. This is just what I've heard. I've heard people say that, oh, well, why are we in this little hut place? Africa's not just huts and stuff. Yeah, that's another thing that we can change if you want to. We do have a place that looks like a little how like a little place, but it's not like four walls. It doesn't. It simply just does not look like the suburbia place that we saw in like the Midtown, whatever, Midwest, wherever they're at. It just simply doesn't look like that. You clearly see that we are in the sticks and stones. We are clearly in the dirt. And I feel like they can change that. They can change that if you really want to. If you really want to hear the criticism that people are saying about Resident Evil 5 and you want to do a remake, simply listen to the criticism and change. Like, it really isn't that hard. If it was racist, you can simply make it not racist. It does not have to not be in Africa for it to not be racist. And that's what I'm saying. And I feel like the people who are even arguing about this either don't know why they were in Africa or just don't know lore in general of the show, in the whole lore of Resident Evil, because like I said, that flower was in Africa. That's what he wanted. That's what he wanted. And I'm not sure if it even went into making Las Plagas or Uroboros or whatever, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know if that was the goal, but I just know for a fact that that's the reason why they were in Africa. That's the legitimate reason why that even happened, because he was looking for the flower. Now, do I know if he was having concentration camps or whatnot? Because that actually was in Code Veronica. That literally is what was going on. They were imprisoned and they were making them work and they were killing. They were doing experiments, literally like Auschwitz style. It was crazy that they kind of scrubbed off all the Nazism, but they still left the imagery. Like, it was crazy. It was crazy how they did that. And I think that's another reason why they don't want to remake Code Veronica, because they're like, oh, we don't want to teeter. It's crazy. It's funny how, like, even though you in Spain and this is not America and this is not this is not an American situation, we are in Spain, you were fine with remaking that, but now it's like, oh, it's a problem. That's why it's hard for me to even take this conversation seriously, because it just seems like they're just not trying to bring Sheva back. And that's more like, to me, that's racist in the whole sense that if we're going to talk about anything's racist, why isn't Sheva back? She was about, oh, she, and this is the thing that, like, someone argued with me. They were like, well, she belongs in Africa. And I'm like, didn't Chris belong in America? Didn't Chris belong in America? Something can bring her to the Americas. Something can bring her back into the story. You simply cannot do it, or you simply refuse to. And then I have to ask why. And it's usually a racist answer. I've never gotten a serious answer as to why. It's always something racist. But now it's too racist to remake Resident Evil 5. That's what's racist. Okay. Oh, okay. Whatever. I feel like I've just made my argument clear. Resident Evil 5 is not too racist to remake, and if it is, if you feel that way, then it can be remade to not be. It simply can. They changed a lot in the remake of 4, and everything was fine. They didn't change Ada Wong's name in 2. They didn't, like, Ada Wong, that's not even her real name. That's not even her real name. It's just something random. It's just something random. That's not even her real name. That is a code name. We don't know her real name. I don't know her real name. If you know her real name, please type it in the comments. But I don't know Ada Wong's real name. But it's crazy how you've got all these questionable things that you've done, and the racist thing is just making a remake of something, even though you can change what the problem is. That don't make no sense. Um, it just don't make no sense. It just don't make no sense. How is it racist to remake a game that you cannot make racist? But it's not racist to exclude every person of color and black person from your show, TV show, series. And the whole thing about making Wesker black, that was hilarious. I think that was hilarious. I didn't even take it seriously. I wasn't mad. I was just like, I literally made a parody. I made a parody song, and I may tag it somewhere. I may post it somewhere, or I might upload it or something, or re-upload it. But I literally made a parody song. Like, I said, that man is a real black Wesker. Netflix giving stuff we never ever asked for. Like, I was literally singing my soul away. Like, but like, stuff like that is hilarious to me. But these incels will get so mad, and they'll just throw around the word racist. Like, that's why when Jack Spadicy said that, I was like, I have to talk about this, because what on earth? Thank you. I was just like, what on earth is he talking about? Like, y'all know who I'm talking about, Jack Spadicy. Like, if you know who I'm talking about, you know who I'm talking about. Like, but I'm not gonna say his name here, because like I said, all these people who I'm talking about, they make me sick. I'm not gonna give you as to reason why. I'm just letting you know. I like That's a story for another day. They all make me sick, every single one of them. But legitimately, legitimately and wholeheartedly, Resident Evil 5 can be remade. It simply can. And I have no idea why we're having this conversation. I have no idea why we're having this conversation about things that, if they were bad in the past, fix them. Fix them in a, I don't know, remake. It's over. I'm so done. I was going to go like chapter by chapter of Resident Evil 5, but I might just very well play the game. I can just play the game for all that. I'm going to play the game on stream, because this is getting ludicrous. Like, and people were talking about how they had an issue with certain things, and then they used the voice. There was like a voice actor, or the guy that was asked during the trade. People were going around and they were doing stuff, and they were asking him, and he's like, "Oh, it wasn't racist now. It's not racist then." I don't care what he says. I don't know who that man is, and I hate whenever a black person says something and then y'all just use it for every single thing. Like, the people who use Martin Luther King's, "Oh, nonviolence, we got to," like, they hated them back then. Like, they did the biggest okey doke in the history of okey smoke, and they pretend that Martin Luther King was liked. He was assassinated. He was assassinated. He was taken out this place. So I don't know how someone who is beloved by every single person in the universe gets assassinated. Someone who's not shaking the table, like literally. So all these people who are using that person's like literally instead of actually establishing why people might say that it's racist, because like I said, the first thing they talk about is, well, we can go to Spain and kill people who are under a virus parasite, but we can't go to Africa. Herm. And then also Africa is a continent with a different places in it. So that's one thing that's different. But you could say Spain, oh, Spain, it has a bunch of places in it, and you don't know where we're at. But the whole thing about it is there are white people in Africa. There are white people in Africa. There are. It's I think it's South Africa if I'm not mistaken. That's why it's like a little strange to me to why we're having this conversation about this specifically. But like I said, Leon S. Kennedy went to Spain by himself. There were some people that helped him, like the helicopter dude in the remake, but he was essentially a single agent working by himself with Hannigan in the pocket. She wasn't with him. They weren't going in 30 men deep. They literally went into Africa with Chris Redfield, Sheva, who was already there, and all the people who were around Sheva, as well as all the people who got killed by the people who were with Irving. Like, and I'm just saying names if you don't know who I'm talking about. Literally, I'm just saying names. But like I said, I'm gonna play the game. We're gonna play the game. We're gonna see. We're gonna see what y'all talking about. Because I'm not here, like I'm saying, I'm not here to say that it's not racist because I'm not from Africa. If they think that it's horrible that we're in the sticks and everything looks like it was 50,000 years ago, even though in Spain things were brick and mortar, even though they were pig farmers and whatnot, if you want to play that game, literally when we were in Africa, there were literally these mounds, like they were mounds of buildings that you could see through. The wood, it was so like I just feel like there's two different ways that they were portrayed. Africa was portrayed like it was maybe 100 years ago. I'm not sure. There are buildings in Africa. There is this show. I forgot. It's like Rich and Famous or something, African thing. And it was a TV show. And they literally are in a house. They're literally in a house. It's not a hut. So I think if that's what they're talking about, then I completely get that. I get that. Why it's not portrayed as the exact same. And there are different culturally different things. But when you're sitting there with a loincloth, there's a bunch of guys with loincloths and they're throwing spears at you. I completely get that. But I'm like I said, I'm not the one to like if I like I said that I don't think it's racist. I just don't think it's racist. I don't want people to just say, "Oh, click, snap, look at that black person that said that it's not racist, therefore it's not racist and y'all need to shut up." Like that's not how we have conversations and we do better. That's literally not how that works. But like I said, I feel like I'm so over this. I'm so overdone. I'm over easy done with this. So we're gonna go to the next thing that I wanted to talk about, and it's like the fate of Tango Gameworks, The Evil Within 3 never happening, supposedly. Good. Like I said in the beginning, good. We really don't need a Evil Within 3 when the Evil Within 2 was so bad and the DLC, which should have been in the game, was a DLC. Every DLC that happened like in the 2000s, it's just like extra game when it should have been in the game in the goddamn first place. But whatever. That's just me. I love the Evil Within 2 when it's the first part, like the first part of it was okay. Okay? The first part was okay. There's 4 parts to it. And yes, there are a lot of villains. There were a lot of villains in the first one, but that didn't make like there was one arching villain. There was one arching villain. But there were different antagonists. I guess I could say there were different antagonists or different bosses. There were like 30 bosses in that game. Like every single um level had like 3 different bosses, and that's funny, and that's cool. It's whatever, you know what I mean? It's whatever. But The Evil Within 2 had 4 different, like, villains, Instead of one Ruvik and everything that Ruvik touches that turned to crap, all the villains below him, like all the evil doers below him, we have four people who are on the same level. We've got like this dude who is a deacon or whatever. We've got this dude who's taking pictures of people. We've got this other dude, and then we've got his wife. His wife is a villain. Castellanos, whatever his name is. A lot of people didn't like how he was like bland, and I'm like, that's crazy because I feel like Leon's bland, and I'm not even gonna give Leon strays. People are gonna say, "Oh, he's based on Leon." Okay, I'm not arguing with you, but I really feel like since they have disbanded or whatever, it's totally agreement because yeah, they should just put it in the game, but like The Evil Within had some decent DLC. Like the DLC that wasn't a part of the game, like Kidman's parts and stuff. Kidman's stuff should have been in the game, I think. And the whole thing where it's like we don't know her side is like cool and all. But if that was the case, if we were going to learn her side, they shouldn't have given her no DLC. They should have made that too. The assignment or whatever it's called, whatever I always get it mixed up with Ada Wong's one because Ada Wong is like, I think it's Separate Ways. And I think that's why it's like Separate Ways. But her DLC, I think she had two DLC. I can't remember if she had two DLCs. It felt like she had two DLCs, but I think it might have just been one Ada Wong DLC. But I get her and Kidman mixed up. But I think the assignment was Kidman's. So Kidman's thing is just her side, and she has a villain. She has a like a main villain thing, like a creature that follows her around. But that should have been 2, in my opinion. I think that her story, her side should have been 2. I don't think that it should have been a DLC. And I think that 2 was a waste of time because how are you going to have the first one do all this stuff establishing a character and establishing a plot and then go to the second one and say, "Oh, forget all about that. Forget about Ruvik, forget about Leslie, forget about all that." So why did I play the game? Why are we here? This is not Scooby Doo. This is not the next episode where you can just pretend like the last episode didn't happen. This is another show. This is another freaking like it's 2. If it's 2, then why is it not? And that's another thing that I hate about Resident Evil Revelations because Resident Evil Revelations 1, literally cool, superb, top quality. A lot of people hate it for some reason, even though it was literally a linear story with things that happened in the past that make what happened in the future make sense. Resident Evil Revelations 2 has nothing to do with Revelations 1, so why didn't you call it something else? Why didn't you call it something else? And now it's supposed to be an anthology, basically, to where it's the same characters, just different story, different day, different scenarios. And then you're gonna like the first one had when you had a partner, the other partner could actually maybe when they were on the freaking Game Boy Advance, they couldn't help you shoot nothing. That was for like 2 times. That was like 2 times that happened. The rest of the time, they're helping you. They're picking up a gun and shooting because that's what you're supposed to god dang do in that situation when freaking zombies are after you. But Moira's like, I'm sorry, I don't do guns. Chloe before she was Chloe, unless she came after Chloe. I don't know who came first, Chloe or Moira, but they're basically the same archetype. Teen girl that is annoying to everyone and she's horrible and she's shooting people. Literally, it's literally the same character. Just one's got blue hair and one's got black hair. But Moira doesn't do guns, and then when you're Barry, you have a little girl helping you. So I guess you can't give her no shotgun or she's gonna blow herself away. But the whole thing is she can't even pick up nothing that's valuable. Like, oh, she picks up a stick that break. Like, cool. She pick up a belt dumbbell thing. She don't even pick up anything that's cool. She'd be picking up a stick. Like, pick up pick up an axe. Pick up an axe. Pick up something useful. How about you stop being useless? And then when there's a time like the stupid like the one thing that changes everything in the end that gives you the good ending or the bad ending, they tell you the entire time Moira doesn't use guns. She never picks up a gun. And then it's like Claire or Moira? Who do you want to help? Because Claire's in trouble. I care about Claire. I don't care about Moira. So she doesn't face her fears or something, and I'm supposed to know that she's supposed to face her fears and shoot somebody. I'm supposed to believe that she's going to help Claire before she dies. I thought it was choosing between who to save, because clearly that's what they want, because that's what happened in Resident Evil 7. It was either Zoe or it was Mia. And I'm like, Zoe helped me make this. Why would you make her make the serum? Why would you watch her sit there and make this serum to help everyone survive and then not let her have the serum that she just made? And then people are talking about, oh, that's your wife, that's your wife, that's your wife. Oh, now she's your wife. First, she was the bee who didn't tell y'all what happened, and she's the whole reason why everything bad happened in Resident Evil 7 in the first place. Because, yes, that's what the quarter of a man and Doom Chickens were saying. They were saying that. The incels were saying that Mia was the reason why everything bad. And maybe, yeah, I really didn't like Mia. I really didn't like Mia, and that really brought me towards giving it to Zoe, especially since I don't know, she made the serum. She makes the serum. It's like you literally I sit in here making a cake, right? I make a cake, everything's great. I cut 2 slices, right? I eat a slice. The rest of the no, not I don't eat no slice. I don't eat no slice yet. I want to eat the slice. There's 2 slices. And I'm like, okay, this is my slice. I keep it for myself. And then all of the cake go on the floor, and then like there's 1 slice left, except that 1 slice, like, and there's 2 people talking about, so who's gonna eat the slice? Like, I made the cake, like, I made the cake, it's my slice. Like, what are you talking about? Why would she give it to someone, especially the girl who's been trying to kill you the whole time? Like, it's crazy how they will jump and do backflips to defend their own biases when it's really, really quite simple. Give it to Zoe, and then you get the bad ending. Give it to Mia, and you get the good ending. But how am I supposed to know after everything that's happened? I'm supposed to give it to Mia. How am I supposed to know after everything that's happened, after you told me that she's not good with guns, that she's going to save Claire Redfield, the one that I actually care about? Don't make no sense. But it's we're getting to the hour mark, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to talk about my favorite shows, my favorite TV shows. And some of these are from my Netflix picks, because I used to do this show where I did Netflix picks and bricks. Picks are the ones that I really like to watch, and bricks are the ones that I want to throw out a window that are bad. And I'm not talking about the bricks right now. I'm just going to talk about the picks. And I'm gonna let you know that they're picks, but I'm probably changed my opinion about it a little bit. So the first one's Cobra Kai. If you've seen Karate Kid, it's the sequel series to Karate Kid. It's the next generation of karate children. And unfortunately, I haven't seen Jaden Smith, and I haven't seen Jackie Chan. Supposedly they're supposed to be in the final season. I don't believe it. I I don't believe it. I don't really like Jackie Chan for what he's done to his child, and how he's like, oh, they gotta work hard. And it's like, oh yeah, that sounds cool, so cool, right? That sounds so cool. And people are like, well, you don't like nepotism. And it's like, the difference between that is you can still be a horrible, like, I don't honestly, if I was rich and stuff, I really wouldn't care about someone calling me a nepo baby. I really wouldn't. Like, literally, it's the truth. Like, if I was rich and I had a bunch like savings, like there's people on the street homeless and stuff, I'm not gonna be wasting my breath and air on this earth talking about, oh, I can't believe you call me a nepo baby. Stupid. But literally, Jackie Chan is really mean to his family. He didn't even acknowledge his child out of wedlock. Like, he is not the character that you see on TV. He is not the character. He is literally completely the opposite. That's why you cannot idolize people, because they will disappoint you every time. They are just people. He is not the golden child that he is in all of his movies. But Cobra Kai is literally that, and it's literally a bully's fantasy, because literally the whole story of Cobra Kai is this boy who is from a single mom parents home, and he gets bullied at school, and he likes this girl who is dating the bully for some reason. The girl's always dating the bully for some reason. It's crazy. It just makes no sense, because that's not even how life works. But like, he gets the girl and they marry and all that, or whatever. I don't know. All I know is they don't marry. They don't marry. he marries actually somebody else, and they actually meet up again. But the whole thing is, you gotta watch it. It's really hilarious, except when it's not, and it's actually promoting bullying. Like literally, they make it seem like he was the bully when he wasn't, and then they take slice stuff out of context and make it seem like the bully is the victim. It is really strange, and that's why I don't really watch Cobra Kai anymore. I watched the first season, and that was cool. The second season was annoying. Third season made me sick. I just haven't watched anything since then. Nothing. But the next one is Dairy Girls. Dairy Girls is like a Catholic school. There's one boy, and during a war, it's like an Irish comedy, and they have thick accents, and you might need like subtitles if you want to watch it if you're trying to do something else, because their accents are thick. But it's literally a bunch of girls who they go through life, and there's this one boy that's like someone's cousin. But it's a really good show, and it's a comedy. If you want something that's a comedy, watch that show. There's a show called Typewriter, and it's about Indian children solving mysteries. It's a very wholesome ghost story. It's like if you want something wholesome, watch Typewriter if it's still on there. Um yeah. And then the next one I have on here is Extracurricular, which is a Korean drama. I watched it in dub, and it's basically about this boy who pimps out girls. Literally, it's crazy. It's bloody, it's violent. Um if you want to watch something like that, and it's not like I'm not one to like the pimping situation. I prefer, if you are going to be a sex worker, that you are able to get your own money, that you don't, but they always make it seem like that they're protecting them when they're not. But it's just like that's just a bland broad example of what the show is, but it's a really good show to watch. It's like suspenseful is what I would say. I don't support what he does and how he does it, because he always he acts like the victim too, and he's not. But he makes me sick. I can't stand him. But it's a good show to watch. It's a good show. It's very suspenseful. The next one is Grace and Frankie. It's I would say it's like it's a comedy, and it's a very slow moving show with like no sound. Like it's got sound, but it's got like no music. Like you can tell right away that there's like no music going on, and I'm like, ugh, I don't like that. I like a soundtrack. But she literally, these Grace and Frankie, they live together after their husbands leave them for each other. The husbands are gay, and then they marry each other. So now they're like, well, we gotta live our life now. That's that story. And then Kakeguru, or whatever it's called. It's an anime that takes place in a high school, and it's very raunch. It's about gambling, but it's not really. It's like mature situations. There's blood. There's situations. If you like anime, you might like that show. You can watch one season if you want to, but it's not like the best thing. I don't really watch it no more. Um, A Girl from Nowhere is a time mature series about an entity that tests the morality of humanity, and that's the best description you will get from that show. It's an anthology, but it's got the same girl. It's like same girl, different school each time. She's the new person in the school, and she basically is like the angel and demon on someone's shoulder for situations, and she also might be the subject of that ire. Like it's a really cool show. And there's supposed to be another season, I think. I'm not sure, but I think there's two seasons right now. I'm not sure. I can't remember. Agretzko, oh my gosh, Agretzko makes me sick. I used to love Agretzko. And someone's arguing with me on Twitter literally right now. Go to my Twitter, and one of the last things that I was interacting with, it was about that show, and I literally explained what it was, because someone said I really hated how it ended, and yeah, me too. Because what on earth? What on earth? This is what I said about this show. I said, for people who don't know, basically, a girl, Gretzko, and these are anthropomorphic animal people in an anime, by the way. Gretzko wants to get married to someone who would deliver her from her terrible job where her boss is inappropriate with her and others, not sexually. Loser that works with her acts like just because he works with her, she needs to date him. Her friend is very cynical. She fumbles the rich guy who could actually help her. She's constantly put in terrible situations where she has to be like demure. But she does karaoke, so it's okay, I guess. Like, that's literally how it is. Like, she literally has the worst situation, worst case scenario after she fumbles the best case scenario. And then she goes to the karaoke bar or whatever, and she does, that's why her name's Agresco. It's like she's angry inside, but that kind of goes away and it kind of comes back. I don't know. There's a lot that happens. She's stalked, and that's another thing. Literally, I forgot to tell you before I get into that. The inappropriate boss becomes the voice of reason. The inappropriate boss is still inappropriate, still inappropriate, but he's the voice of reason now. He is misogynistic. He makes the girls give him tea and pour his drinks when they don't need to. They don't need to. Why do the women in the office have to pour your drinks for you? There's no explanation for that. He's got arms, by the way. He's got hands. And why would the girls all have to do it? It's ridiculous. But he becomes the voice of reason, and then she stays with the loser even when he pretends to have a job. This male pretends to have a job. He pretends to have a job, all while he is homeless. And he is in a computer bar, pretends that he's not in a computer bar living. Pretends. And then he starts living with a Gresco in her house. And her house is actually an apartment. And she has to go to work and support him. And he'll be sitting there all day and she has to feed him because he's not feeding himself. And then when something bad happens to her, he does the same thing to her. He is such a jerk. Like, literally, she worked hard. And then when she has something happen to her, he just flips the script and acts like it's the same situation when it's not. And like I said, oh, and she stalked into basically being with him for familiarity. Also, the stalker stabbed him, so it's the I saved you, you owe me a relationship at the end of their will they or won't they? Because we go through like 6,000 seasons with them talking about, yeah, I don't like you, I like you, I don't like you, I like you, I like you, I don't like you. I hate that. Stop doing that. It's so annoying. So annoying. And she runs for office only to lose and to be happy with her terrible life and her terrible boyfriend, who is actually from a wealthy family who he doesn't even take the money from because pride. She does not have to work with a guy who takes like advantage of her socially because he's rich and he refuses to take the money because of pride. And then turns out he did something horrible and it's on a video and we don't even know what that is. We don't even know what terrible thing it is. But he's great, right? Someone's arguing with me, talking about, oh, extreme mischaracterization of Haida. He never acted like Retzko needed to date him. Why was he in her house after he was homeless? And then there's a few other ones. I just went down a Gretzko. I got to 24. Um, but I just stopped on this one because like somebody was arguing with me. It's like they're still arguing with me. Like I'm not even gonna talk. I literally said, if you don't believe me, go watch the show. I implore you, please. If you don't believe me, if you think I'm mischaracterizing someone, please go watch the show yourself. And then let me know. Come back to me and we can have a discussion because ain't no way. Haida is sick. Anyone you hear Haida, you hear that name from Agresco, just know that he lied. He pretended to have a job. He didn't tell his girlfriend that he was rich. He didn't tell his girlfriend that he could have been rich. He could have gotten all the money in the world as long as he didn't act a fool. Ridiculous. The next one is Flavorful Origins, which is a docu-series about food and the history of preparations of food. I love food stuff. I love like that's why I like Delicious in Dungeon. I thought it was gonna be a little different, but it's okay. It's okay. It's okay. It's okay. I'm literally gonna make a video. I told you I'm gonna condense my live and I'm gonna post it because I literally like Delicious in Dungeon is another recommendation I give you. But another thing is street food, which is the secret history of street food. Like family secrets and stuff like that, things about what they do in street food. Castlevania is an animated show about the game of the same name, and it's basically vampires. It's basically vampires. There are some new black vampires on the new season, which is really cool because there are black vampires, there are black people in fantasy, so that's really cool. I never finished Kingdom, but it seems like it's cool. It's just never caught my eye enough for me to sit down there and watch it. Every time I try to watch it, I just can't. I don't know why. But there's another show on Netflix called Midnight Diner. It's like same restaurant, different story. It's like a different thing each night. Every time something happens, there's literally prostitutes that come in there. There's Johns. There's everything that happens in the nighttime. There's a homeless person. Like there, it's a really wholesome show that is kind of like it looks like a play because it looks like you're looking at it from one angle, but they get more money and it gets better. The next one is Switched. It's two girls who switch bodies, and I personally wouldn't recommend it anymore. I think it was a little strange, and I don't think the ending was the best it could have been. But if you want to watch it, you can. It's just like the fat girl is like, I'm gonna kill myself, and she makes the skinny girl watch her, and then they switch places. That sounds strange. The next one's Bling Empire, OG only, because there is Bling Empire India, I think. I can't remember, but Bling Empire original is like rich Asian people in a reality TV show. Like it's like Real Housewives esque. So if you've seen Real Housewives or anything like that, it's kind of like that, except with men too. And there's sad things that happen on there. There's sad, like there's this girl, Christina is an example. She couldn't get pregnant for some reason. Some reason. I know what it is now, but at the time no one knew. And everybody blamed her. They said you are insufficient, you are not a woman. Even her husband was being mean to her. And then turns out it's his fault. Turns out it's his fault. Turns out she couldn't have babies because it was his fault. But he let his mother blame her and treat her trash. Long story short, they have a son now, and now she's worthy of affection. It's crazy. Um, Juvenile Justice is another Korean crime drama. It's about a juvenile judge, like she is a judge of the juvenile cases, who struggles to find sympathy for children criminals because of what happened in her past with her child being killed by a child criminal and the child having no remorse. Long story short. But it's a really, really good show. It's a marvelous show. I would recommend it every day. The Glory, The Glory is another show that I actually did a quick bit about, so you can watch that video. I won't discuss it a lot here, but it's mostly basically about a girl who's bullied in high school and she seeks her revenge as they're all adults now. It's a really good show. A lot of people hate this show, but I love it. It's called Is It Cake? And it's a reality TV show testing people's ability to see like what's cake and what's not. And it's really cool because a lot of people make like art and it looks like the real thing. Like it'll look like a TV and it's a cake. Like that's really cool. And I don't know why people hate it so bad. The judge, like the host of it, was like bad. It looked like they wanted Jim Carrey and they just accepted this fool. But he is a lot better now after like seasons. The Circle is a reality TV show where like you can pretend to be anonymous or you can be yourself. You can either catfish and it's like a social game. You like ask questions, y'all pick who's your favorite. Whoever's the lowest is up for elimination. Whoever's the highest gets a chance to vote someone out the circle. It's kind of like Survivor but digitally kind of. Everybody's in their own individual room in this big old high rise and it's like soundproof so they can't hear each other. Um, Joan Origins is an interesting prequel sequel series to Joan the Grudge, and that's mostly what I got to say about it. Viewer discretion is advised. It's very mature. There is assault. There is horrible things that happen in this. It's really, really hard to watch. So if you're not someone that can watch stuff like that, then I wouldn't recommend that. Alice in Borderland is another show that I talked about season 1 and season 2. I did a breakdown of, and it's basically they gender bended Alice, and it's a it was a very missed opportunity to have a great female lead because he's just not a good leader. Like, he's not a good lead actor. And the story of the girl who's his love interest, it's like every time it's crazy. Like, she has to be assaulted by the same person. It's crazy. It's wild. It's wild. But I go into greater detail about it if you want to know my opinion about that. I do have 2 videos. I recommend watching the first one before you watch the second season one that I did. The next one's Merlin. Y'all know about Merlin. I'm actually in the process of editing the video, but I have too much stuff going on. The moment I'm done with this, I have to start getting on the phone and start calling people about stuff. So, yeah, Merlin is something I recommend. It was on Netflix, but I'm not sure if it's on Netflix anymore. I think it might be on Peacock, but I'm not sure. I can't remember. Um, Thank you for putting it down in the comments for me. But Grimm is another show I did my first taste on, and it's a really good show. I did the first taste for Halloween. Basically, I did it in October. It's basically about Detective Burkhart who starts seeing creatures among humans, and turns out he comes from a long line of racial profilers that kill people. It's crazy wild. Please, I recommend you watching my first taste video on Grimm before judging it too much. Sleepy Hollow is another one I did. I did it for November's first taste. It's a good black woman lead, but she's a cop, unfortunately. And she's connected to the man called Ichabod Crane from Sleepy Hollow. Into the future, he comes back to life after being dead for years. And it's just like a story. It's like a story thing, stuff like that. Another one is Rain. Rain is Mary Queen of Scots, historical, inaccurate drama about her life and about her rise and fall, basically, in the middle of Queen Elizabeth I's reign. And last that I have on here so far, last 2 is The Tudors, which is King Henry VIII's historically inaccurate drama, which has assault and stuff in it too, so be careful. And Rain does too as well. But the last one is Monk. I did a quick bit. I did a discussion about the movie, but I didn't do a movie discussion. I will after, probably, I don't know, maybe I'll do it next, but there is a movie and it's really cool. The show in itself, there's some things that I don't like about it, but I did do a first taste on season 1, episode 1. So if you would like to watch any of those things, I recommend all of those things. Yes, thank you so much for putting it down into the comments. If you would like to watch any of those things, most of those things are on Netflix. Some of those things are on Peacock. Just find it wherever you can. But I'm done. If you have any questions, put it in the comments. Like, subscribe, share. Have you seen any of the um, shows that I just discussed? Hope you enjoyed. I just feel a little gross right now. I need something to eat. Ugh. But thank you so much for joining me, and be on the lookout for the new season 1 episode 2 breakdown of Merlin that I will be posting soon. I will also be trying to get the Delicious in Dungeon video edited and posted. I've been playing Apex Legends. This new season's pretty okay. I don't know how long it'll last. I'm so done. Maybe I'll play that. Maybe I'll play Wizard 101. But I'll see y'all later.